like Argus is going down. Yeah, I saw the hand motion, but not the call.
This is an audio slate for dive H1828, UTC time 070050 on my mark. Mark.
What's that? Flipping? Mm. It's one of the current great mysteries. uh, 804. You guys ready? Ready. Copy. Copy. Oh, your heading's a bit wonky here. At least it's reporting it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can see it in butt cam. Yeah, no worries. I thought it was a Octans thing for a second. It'll yank you in. Yeah. Should be landing on flat bottom, the base of a slope. Yeah. Straight up slope. Yeah, and then the top looks like it'll be decent too. We get 2 watches on this dive.
Good early morning to everyone.
Morning.
This is Meredith Everett.
Hey, Meredith.
Good morning. This is Lizzie Duncan.
We are in the water, descending on a site we are calling the Pody Peninsula. We look for deep sea coral and sponge habitats. This dive is right off of a fairly well characterized area known as Footprint Reef, but all of that work has been done quite shallow compared to the depth we're going today. So we're going to go look at the deeper areas of this feature to try to confirm some habitat suitability modeling data.
Yeah, the reef that Meredith is talking about, Footprint Reef, falls within a federal reserve. And this, it almost looks like kind of an extension of the hard bottom habitat. It actually falls outside of the MPA. So we'll be interested to see what kind of corals and sponges might be there, what shape they're in, note any potential human impacts, pollution, fishing gear, lost fishing gear. And as she said, there's some high diversity predicted for the hard bottom habitats for the different species of corals that we might find. So I'm really excited about this one, and I'm hoping we find some cool stuff.
And this is Taylor Ann. I'm the data logger here on the ship, helping the scientists collect samples and taking observations. And yeah, I'm excited. I just got done wrapping up sampling at 11 o'clock and jumped right on here. Yep.
Oh my goodness, I didn't put that together until you said that. When do you sleep?
Yeah, I'll sleep until lunchtime tomorrow.
Yep, all
okay.
good.
Yeah, so I catch up on sleep.
25.
Just at a different time than normal. But I get quite enough sleep, which is good.
Yeah, we had a bit of a shorter dive this last one, 12 hours, and so I could see how whenever we pull the ROVs and they're on deck, it changes with every dive. So you might have more time to sleep or less time to sleep depending on when they come up on deck.
Yeah, at least my shift is at noon, so I just always sleep until then, and then I know when it's time for me. It's a little different with sample processing though. So like if we come up at 8 like we did today and then process, I was like, oh, okay, then we're getting back on at midnight. So I figured it'd be like that. That's fine. I don't mind it. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to see this stuff on deck once you pull it up.
Definitely is.
So it's a catch-22 of sampling of depending on how long you've got between now and the next dive. If you take hundreds of them, you never sleep.
Oh, yeah. And the Nautilus is exceptionally well set up to gather lots of different samples. So some other ROVs are a little bit smaller, or the bio boxes don't have as many partitions because they're also smaller, the drawer on the front porch. But we are stacked to the brim with sampling capabilities with Hercules.
We mentioned the habitat suitability modeling being done by a group of colleagues led by Matt Pody. We're calling this the Pody Peninsula. And the data they have shows that the top of this feature should be very rich in coral diversity, with it falling off to deeper depths. But one interesting component to investigate will be whether that's due to different changes in habitat type, if there's more sediment down deeper, or if sometimes that's just an artifact of the data, that they've done better exploration at the shallower depths, and so they have higher quality data. So I'm really interested to see how things look at this deeper depth than at the shallower area, and whether it is a data artifact or just a really lower diversity here. There could be also just because can be a lower diversity with depth. It will be interesting to see. We do get some very cool species in the depth range that will be landing in at about 800 meters deep.
So how did they come up with that habitat suitability map? It was very interesting, attached to our dive plan.
Oh yeah, I added a small screenshot of it. Matt Pody works for NCOS, the National Centers for Coastal Ocean Science, which is an office in NOAA. And they were contracted by the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management because, as many of you in the control van are aware, so much of the seafloor has yet to be explored, especially visually, much less mapped at high resolutions. And so when BOEM is trying to responsibly lease call areas for renewable energy like wind energy, and they need to assess seafloor impacts with some of the structures that they're considering putting in for anchoring wind farms and the like, they hired NCOS to do some habitat suitability modeling to predict where they think that they would find the highest number of different species of corals and sponges. And I believe they did in-funnel invertebrates as well. And what they did was essentially they took the Deep Sea Coral Research and Technology Program has a national database. As far as I'm aware, it's the most comprehensive database that takes data from globally, but it's a U.S. national effort. And so a lot of the work that they fund regional research initiatives, and that's happening on the West Coast right now. If they fund a research cruise, they require once the video is annotated, that those records and observations are submitted to their database, but they also have people who voluntarily submit their data, so it's available to the public. All of this information that they integrate and synthesize into a nice dashboard for all of the public and different managers and offices. You can download it, you can query it. It has the dates, the cruises, cruise numbers, mission IDs, vessels, PIs, the types of collection methods, so the vessel names, ROV and AUV. So it's a huge database. And what NCOS did was they downloaded all the observations, did quality assurance and quality checking with those data. And from those observations, they pretty much gridded up the whole West Coast. And then they also gridded up a bunch of different environmental variables, a ton actually. So they used models for like regional oceanographic modeling for currents at depth, the directions of those currents at depth. They took the latitudes, the longitudes, they took bottom hardness, bottom temperature, and different forms of these variables too. So like the annual mean, or they'll take like the summer high or the winter low to see which of all of these suite of environmental variables best predict where these occurrences are. So this is presence only modeling, and it's for pretty much the entire West Coast.
Wow.
And they correlated all of these observations of these different species with these environmental variables, and then slowly pared down the environmental predictors until they had the most parsimonious, the smallest number of environmental variables that did the best at predicting where those positive records occurred. And they did this for, I don't know, over 40 different species. And then the map that I have in the dive plan is actually a kind of a synthesis of that. So it's the number of different corals predicted in a 25 by 25 meter pixel that prefer hard bottom habitat. And so we're hoping to find up to 7 different species of hard bottom preferring corals on this dive at some point.
So their map is interactive. You can pick out what species you want, and
the one that I have is just it's just the total number. So they kind of just simplified that map for us, so we can kind of choose some dive sites where we think we'll see the most number of different corals, but they're all individual layers. So you could click on each individual species and look at their predicted maps if you wanted.
So how much ground truthing has been done, or is this kind of one of the data points towards that?
There's been a few efforts. So in some of the cruises funded by the West Coast Deep Sea Coral Initiative on the West Coast in 2018 and 2019, we chose locations where talking with Matt that he thought would be really helpful to validate or ground truth some of these predictions, because there are areas that were predicting high biodiversity, but it had low confidence in that particular pixel. So they also assessed how confident they were about that number that they were predicting.